You wanted to get into position for your proposal. You knelt down, nestled within the poppies. You glanced around for a second and plucked a delicate white poppy. You didn't have a ring yet, so this would have to do. You held the flower out to Cove. Cove? Cove's fingers twitched at the sound of his name. He spread them out only slightly, peeking back at you adorably. Oh, God. His voice broke on only those two words. Cove's eyes glanced down at the poppy in your grasp. The flower swayed back and forth. Whether it moved from the gentle breeze or the slight shake of your hand was anyone's guess. The dawn around you cast golden light on your black hair and tan skin. Your brown eyes sparkled, and you hoped he could see the depth of your love for him as you looked up at him from one knee. This is actually happening. Cove let his hands fall to his sides. All attempts to hide were gone. He was ready to face you and the life you were offering him. We've always been good friends. It made sense to have you there for us to keep getting closer. It made sense to have you there for us to keep getting closer. You've always been my best friend, Cove. Our relationship's foundation is unbreakable. We played together, laughed together, stayed together, from friend to boyfriend, and now hopefully to fiancé. And closer. And this is the most accurate. From friend to boyfriend, and now hopefully to fiancé. After all these years, it's only gotten better. I found you here crying because your life was about to be different. And now we're here again, and you're crying for the same reason. It just feels right. You make me happier than anyone. You're the most beautiful person in the world. You're the greatest support in my life. I never want to lose you. I love you. I can barely even put into words what you mean to me. You are the greatest support in my life. I may not have a ring, but I'm serious. Cove, I want to marry you. Do you want this too? Yes, Vaughn. I do. His voice cracked, but his answer was unmistakable. A drop of dew glittered on the poppy between you. Slowly he reached for it, and you placed the flower in his outstretched hand with a smile. He held the stem tightly. Of course I want to marry you. I want to be married to you already. I wish you were my husband right now, and we'd be together forever. Vaughn, you're the best thing in my life, and I love my life. It's wonderful and amazing, and I don't need anything else. I don't want anything else. If I can promise to stay together and never let you go, there's nothing else I could say. Thank you so much for everything. He blinked away tears and tried to wipe them away.
I love you.
I love you. I want to marry you. You embraced him, you pulled him in to kiss, you pushed him down to the grass and kissed him, you beamed at him. I'm gonna be wild. You pushed him down to the grass and kissed him. You couldn't hold back any longer. You launched yourself at him and knocked Cove down on impact. He laid flat on his back, the white poppy swaying around him. His eyes were wide, but he smiled with an expression that was just so utterly Cove. As beautiful as he was, you didn't have the patience to only sit there admiring him. You leaned forward and kissed your fiancé. Cove grinned back from underneath you and kissed back enthusiastically. Cove nuzzled against your neck and kissed right where your throat met your shoulder. He kissed you again, a little higher this time, and kissed a trail that trailed all the way up to your cheek. He shook his head slightly, doing nothing to dislodge the smile in his face. He pulled you closer to him. Cove? I'm just happy. Oh, that's so sweet. You felt the same, warm and satisfied. You could stay with him until the end of time itself. The two of you wound up snuggled up, tucked into the poppies. With Cove's chest as a pillow, you didn't even notice when you started to drift off. The last thing you could make out was a soft rumble of Cove's voice.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Your eyelids dipped, but you felt good. You were safe and relaxed. Everything that had come before this had reassured you of that. You were confident that when you opened them again, things would be okay. You opened your eyes. Inside of the walls of your room, you were surrounded by open sky. You blinked in the sunlight. You could hear the faint sound of seagulls on the wind. The day welcomed you. You cupped your face with your hands as you sat up, feeling the imprint of the blades of grass leaving lines into your cheeks.
Vaughn!
Hearing your name, you lowered your hands and looked around. There he was, your most influential neighbor, your only love, and your future husband, Cove Holden. He had... Oh, this is that's a nice... I like this here, screenshot here. He had made himself very comfortable, laying on his stomach with jewelry and shoes taken off and a flower in his hand. It was the same poppy you had given him. He was keeping hold of it. You wiggled yourself into a sitting position and looked at Cove. He blushed in his eyes as his eyes lingered on you. Are we still engaged? We are. We better be, Cove Holden. Yeah, I'd say so, fiancé. You nodded, you laughed. You better be, Cove Holden. Cove lit up and he smiled giddily. He looked beautiful in his happiness, even with a random piece of grass stuck in his hair. I hoped so. Cove looked up at the bright blue sky. He leaned back and watched one of the few fluffy clouds overhead. You could barely make out his whisper. I can't believe it's real. You didn't know if he was talking to you or himself. You scooted closer and listened regardless. This moment, when we look back on it, it'll always be the time we got engaged. I can't see what the future is going to look like. That's okay, we'll be playing some of it. But that's alright. We're going to be together for it, right? His voice grew in volume and confidence before he tilted his head at you for his question. You were equally certain. Of course. He eyed the hill sprawling up before you, and down below where the wild hill and nature gave way to civilization. Your home and Cove's lay down at the bottom, neatly filled among the other houses in the neighborhood. We better go. We gotta let our families make jokes about us getting engaged basically as soon as we legally could. It's gonna be rough. Oh no, this is gonna be insufferable. I didn't even think of that. We could stay here for a little longer. You nodded as you thought about how everyone would react. Oh no, this is going to be insufferable. Cove grimaced in agreement. But hey, we'll have each other through the hard times. With your support, I can get through even my dad being my dad. I love you. It's a good thing that I'll have your back. We are never going to live this down. You nodded. We're never going to live this down. Nope, never. He grinned and didn't look like he felt 1 ounce of regret. I love you. Cove beamed at you. His expression was so unlike the one he'd worn when you first found him here. It was brimming with love and hope. This is such a beautiful scene. Come on. He offered you a hand. You accepted it, your palm fitting around his. Cove lifted himself up, pulling you along too. He slipped the poppy you used to propose safely into his pocket. I'm so glad what we have now. It's not only in the past or something for this moment. This is something we'll have always. With that promise, the two of you made your way down the hill. You couldn't say whether you were the one that broke into a run, if Cove had been the one to start it, or if your feet had simultaneously made that choice for you both. The end result was the same, with the two of you dashing down the hill like children, but with a nostalgic revelry that could only come as an adult. As the wind whipped past you, you knew that family and friends were waiting at the end of your sprint. There was something you had to tell them after all. Your life officially linked with Cove's took its first step forward. Aww. Well done. So, my understanding is step 4 does end with credits, but then there is step 3. Step 3 does end with credits, but step 4 comes after the credits, which I guess is another time jump. And I'm not sure if it's going to play out similarly to the other steps. I am guessing from what I have read, it's shorter. But we're about to find out because, like I said, oh wow, these are all the voice actors. Angel Step 1, Angel Step 2, Elizabeth. Oh, these are all the nice. Oh, these sound so cool. Thank you to all of the voice actors who I also read for all of the voiced names in this game too. So, yeah, I guess since we're going through the credits, I'll give my thoughts about the game, at least up to this point, through part 3. I really was very impressed by this game. Just the amount. First of all, it's a long game, especially if you get all the DLCs. So definitely, I feel like this is even longer than Camp Buddy, because Camp Buddy was not a short game either. So I feel like this might be the longest. I'll have to double check, but I think this is the longest visual novel that I played. And it's very extensive, as you can see. I love the concept of being able to play through several different age stages throughout. Because I don't think any other visual novel that I'm aware of has done something like this, at least not to this level. Because you do evolve, and you as a person, you change and adapt in many different ways as you grow up. And the person that you were at 8 years old is very different from the person you become at 18. Yes, there are a lot of core, like, consistencies. There are parts of you that I think will always be consistent no matter how old you are. But, as you mature, as you gain experience, as you meet more people and those people affect you and influence you, you're gonna be a different version of yourself. And I, as much as I like to complain about Shiloh and Derek not being involved all throughout, that is very realistic with life. Is people in your life who become important or important to you, they come and they go, and that's just, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, yeah, it's sad. There's a lot of people that I vividly remember being super close to and sharing a lot of very meaningful friendships with, and then we just kind of grew apart, or fell apart. Not fell apart, but like drifted apart. But that doesn't mean that the friendship or the relationships I had with those people weren't worthwhile. Quite the contrary, because they still molded me to be the person that I am, and also created some wonderful memories for me. So I'm really happy about that. In between, because I think this is the next step. My character. So I still look as young as I did before. Pointed, tan, round, brown, scrappy. I mean, yeah, I think scrappy is still gonna be my hair, but I'm just gonna keep looking. Short one, choppy smooth. Yeah, I'm gonna, ooh, oh my, exception, roll back. Okay, I don't know what I just did. I broke the game. I don't know what I just did. So, okay, I'm not going to change my appearance. Let's try that again. That was really bizarre. Okay. Whoops. Alright, forget that. Voice names are not yet available for step 4. Stay tuned. Interesting. Okay. Since they're not voiced, I'm just gonna, for the last part, just call me Archangel. We'll just say that my Vaughn was just a nickname and my real name is Hark in this character. We'll just see. Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of these really changes. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, no. One thing does change. Oh my gosh. I don't want to... I got LASIK, so I do not have glasses anymore. Yeah. I think that's the only thing that changed when I jumped to the next age. I guess I have one now. Plain pattern jewels. I'm gonna have a pattern ring because that's my wedding ring if we're jumping to when we get married. I don't know if this is when we get married, if we're already married or we're not, but at least I have an engagement ring. My engagement ring, by the way, was in the shape of a golden snitch from Harry Potter, which I was very happy with. Okay, done. Feelings for Cove. Direct, relaxed, nervous. Interest, love. Yeah, that's... Begin step 4 at relaxed love. Yes. Cove customization. Let's do it. Oh, hello. Wow. Look at my fiance/husband, everybody. Whoa. Yeah, I definitely prefer Definitely prefer short hair, Cove. Big. Yes. No glasses. No earrings. Not really big on jewelry on guys. Just like, again, in terms of what I'm attracted to. No tattoos, but buff. Slim. No, definitely buff. Shirt 2. Oh, wow. Shirt 1. That's a cool looking shirt as well. I like that. But let's do shirt 1. We'll do shirt 1. Pants. Oh, see, he's got some really cool outfits. He's got some really cool outfits. I think I prefer the black pants on him with this. Left wrist. Let's do that. Right wrist. Give him a watch. Yeah. I'll give him those bracelets. It's a very Cove thing to have all those bracelets. Yeah. Cool. Casual. Alright. Sunglasses. Nah. Oh, that's neat. But I kind of want to be able to see his eyes. I don't want his eyes hidden behind. Not in casual. Sunglasses. Okay, done. Can I change his other I didn't mean to go back, but I wanted to know if I could change his other clothes, his non-casual clothes. But it's okay. Yeah, he looks good. I like him. Change page. Done. Warm, moderate, cold, studious, mixed, sporty. Yeah. Okay. What is Cove's initiative for step 4? Oh, yeah, his initiative is in like how much he initiates like romantic things, physically romantic things. High initiative. And so, your days growing up in the loving cradle of Sunset Bird came to an end. In the years that passed since graduation, you'd moved out of your childhood home and made your own way in the world. You lived alone, lived with a pet, lived with pets, lived with Cove and his fish, lived with Cove, his fish, and the pet you picked, lived with Cove, his fish, and the pets you picked. I think I could only stand one other pet. And the pet you picked. And you, lived with Cove, his fish, and the pet you picked. And you worked at a fine company, had a business of your own, co-owned a business with Cove, had multiple ways of earning income, were still focused on pursuing education. I'm going to say I worked at a fine company, because that's more of what's true to real life. In the music industry, art industry, fashion industry, writing industry, TV and movie industry, sports industry, gaming industry, hospitality industry, health industry, education industry field, STEM field. Where is engineering? Where is engineering? Not music, not art, not fashion, not writing, TV, movie, sporting, STEM, educational, health, hospital. I mean, I'm a software engineer. None of these fit at all, but I'm just gonna pick gaming industry because there's nothing else that fits. Your family members went through the same kinds of leaps into independence. Liz and Lee both eventually earned degrees and started fantastic careers in new towns. But your moms and Cove's father still lived on the same street as they had for all those years before. It was comforting to you that there were some things that remained in the old neighborhood. And despite the ever-changing reality of your adult life, your friends were still your friends. Though, of course, things weren't exactly the same for them either. Very recently, Terry publicly came out as a man and switched the spelling of his name to use a Y instead of an I. That's super cool! Good for you, game. That's super cool. He also confessed his love for Miranda, which she excitedly reciprocated. Ah, makes sense. They moved in together recently in the city out past Sunset Bird. Derek was as busy as always, but doing well. He always made an effort to keep in touch, and you even saw each other in person occasionally. I will accept that. One person who did disappear into the shuffle of memories inside your mind was Baxter. After his vacation in Sunset Bird one year, he was just gone. That was a loss you felt. He had become someone you'd considered a friend during those days. And then there's what became of the sad little boy you grew up with, Cove Holden. How about Shiloh? Oh, he was of course still the man you loved and wanted to spend your life with. But you hadn't officially gotten married just yet. And you'd gotten married at this point. He was your husband. I'm just gonna say we're married now. I'm just gonna say it. We've gotten married at this point. He was your husband. The past years were certainly busy. Being wedded to a person who meant more than everything to you was an incredible gift. You both kept your own last names. You took the Holden last name. Cove took the Angel last name. You decided to go with a combo last name, Angel Holden. You decided to go with a combo last name, Holden Angel. See, Colin and I, we did not do the hyphenation thing. We just smashed our names together and combined the first half of his name with the last half of my name. Okay, so it wasn't just we glued our names together without a hyphen. It's we pretty much half of his name, half of my name, boom. So I'm gonna say Holden Angel. You decided to go with a combo last name Holden Angel. Cove and you wore rings to signify your relationship. Cove wore an engagement ring to signify your relationship. You wore an engagement ring to signify your relationship. However, you decided against getting rings to signify that part of your relationship. Cove and you wore rings to signify your relationship. And the ring Cove wore looked like... Oh. That's super cool. I'm going to say... That's really neat. This is really neat. Gold. Change color. Oh, silver. I'm gonna say that his is silver and mine's gold. His is silver and mine's gold. That'll be the thing. Done. He truly thrived in his continued effort. Well, let me see if it asks what my ring looks like. We're gonna say it's gold. He truly thrived in his continued efforts of cultivating a loving and supportive relationship with his family and friends. Yeah, I'm just making sure that I picked the right one. You couldn't say his personality had changed exactly. Instead, it became more refined. Cove was a warm, inviting, considerate man who took the lessons he'd learned over the years to treat the people around him with patience and understanding. When Cove eventually developed a picture of the future he wanted to have as an adult, it made perfect sense to you based on his interests. Cove decided against pursuing a degree and focused fully on building up a career. He got a small business of his own teaching surf lessons, and he still volunteered with Orca when his work load allowed it. Good for you. As an adult, Cove also was able to recognize and have diagnosed that he was on the autism spectrum. Yep, I think all of us had suspicions that was the case, and it's cool to have it confirmed. It was something that hadn't been noticed by his doctors as a child, but he was still the same Cove he always was to you, and he was just glad to understand himself better. It thrilled you to see how happy and successful he'd grown up to be. On the whole, life continued its steady beat forward, and you all went with it down the paths you chose. It was strange and wonderful. But no matter how old you got, how far you roamed, or how long you were away, the home you had in Sunset Bird still called you back eventually. The car rumbled down the highway. You started to zone out when a truck in the left lane loudly zoomed past. Your driver didn't remark on it. Just like anything else in this trip, you went back to staring out the window, letting the scenery pass you by. You did appreciate the spacious backseat of your ride. You hadn't known exactly when you would be coming in, so you had decided to use a ride app rather than ask your moms to pick you up. It had turned out to be a convenient choice. You looked forward to surprising your parents at the door. You smiled at the thought of their faces lighting up, and wondering if they're all gray-haired now. Luckily, this hadn't been that big of a trip for you. How many years did we jump, though? It didn't specify how old we are. You lived close enough that the travel hadn't turned into a big production. However, that didn't make the occasion mundane. I will point out that this car finally looks different from the other cars that we've been in. So I probably have been really successful at my job. For once, your moms had decided to have a modest celebration dinner for their anniversary. Unlike when you were growing up and they preferred not to make a big deal out of it, this year they were comfortable having a party. As time went on, they had found being the center of attention easier to handle. You were happy to see it. With this going on, there was no way that either you or Liz would miss your mom's anniversary. Both of you made plans to come back home for it. You didn't hear from Liz about her exact schedule, but you hadn't shared yours either. It reminded you of when you were kids and both knew to show up for dinner, but didn't keep each other in the loop for each other's pre-dinner plans. This is the same concept after all. Some things stayed the same, and yet it was definitely different from when you would see your sister every day and knew sort of what she was doing anyways from osmosis. Today you had no idea. Things were always changing. You mused on how at times it was hard to believe you didn't live with your parents anymore, and yet you also couldn't imagine going back and living as a kid under their rules. The rest of the drive flew by. Your silent driver provided a smooth ride. No sharp turns or hard stops jostled you out of your own head. Your thoughts turned from introspective to observant. The landscape passing by became more and more familiar. You frequently recognized the landmarks that dotted the area. A grin came to your face as you passed the now entering sign for Sunset Bird. Excitement built within you. You were really here. You were doing this. Your driver turned off on the street and you realized that their map program was taking you the way home that Ma preferred. You usually would have used the other side street to pass by the beach. In no time at all, the car had gone through the whole of town and pulled in front of your mom's condo. The car slowed to a stop and parked. With the buzz of the highway gone, you realized that you could hear the familiar sound of waves. The air smelled like salt and a rush of childhood memories flooded back. You started to gather your things and humming to yourself once more and about how happy your moms would be to see you. After that, you'd notify everyone else that you'd made the trip safely. You pulled over your suitcase from the other seat and yanked at your bag from down near your feet. Tap, tap. You startled at the sudden sound of tapping on glass. It caused you to pause. Did you really hear what you thought you did? You weren't entirely sure because you soon heard something else. The window on the opposite side of the car rolling down. It confused you until you put it together that despite the driver's silence, you weren't actually alone in this car. The driver must have pressed this button. Someone had to be there. You turn your head to face the now open window. Hello, handsome. There he was, leaning his arms across the window. Your husband, Cove, Holden. He beamed at you with one of his precious open smiles. Hey, Hark. What a surprise this is. I didn't expect to see you in this neighborhood. He was joking, of course. Seeing your expression, he decided to push it further. It's not like I've been waiting for you out here all morning or anything. Cove, I've been the one waiting to see you. I'm sorry to keep you waiting. You survived. You screamed excitedly. You stared, stunned. I would stare, stunned. Cove chuckled at your reaction and met your eyes with a gentle expression. He then gripped the top of the car door and pushed half of his torso through the opening. That was enough to make the driver break their silence with a sharp, "Hey!" He is so handsome. My goodness, our husband's handsome. Cove did not seem to notice and continued climbing into the window. He pushed one hand down into the middle seat to prop his dangling body up. He used his other hand to caress your cheek as he leaned in as close as he could. I missed you. You scooched across the seats and kissed him on the lips. You leaned over and kissed him on the forehead. You covered his hand with yours. You flicked his nose. You did the best to hug him without knocking him down, grinning at him. You scooched across the seat and kissed him on the lips. He enthusiastically reciprocated. The arm holding him wobbled at your touch, and you could feel him smile under your smooch. He was clearly struggling to avoid falling down onto the cushion. You pulled back just a little to get a better view of his face. I missed you too. I love you. Okay, now get out of the window, you crazy person. You're so cute. I really should have expected this. You and your windows. You sighed happily. You're so cute. Not really. Cove's smile turned awkward as his arms started to bend lower, causing his body to slide downwards with it. He turned his head to the driver. Sorry, I'm always causing trouble in this neighborhood. Cove shifted around some more and squirmed back the way he came. After he'd successfully pushed off the window and landed on the pavement with a thump, you opened your car door. You threaded your arms through the various straps of your bags and climbed out. Cove took a few long strides around the back of the car and quickly met you on your side. Cove stood in front of you, and it struck you that the two of you were back in Sunset Bird, reunited once again on this street. You jumped into his arms. You gave him a friendly punch. You ruffled his hair. You held your hand out for a high five. You held your hand out for a fist bump. You waved shyly at him. You jumped into his arms. But you put down your luggage first, and you were still holding your bags. No, I would put my luggage down first. You dropped your bags on the paved road and got a bounding start to leap into Cove. He caught you, unsurprised at your action. When you were situated, he leaned back on the balls of his heels and fully lifted you up off the ground.